Bump,
Bum,
bump,
bum,
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 bump,
bum,
bump.
bum.
Ah,
Hey,
what a
happy Bendy.
Happy Bendy on a Friday morning. Of course we got lasers.
Lasers.
Of course we have lasers on this Friday morning after just the most mind-bending, improbable, just flat-out stupid way to win a baseball series. The Los Angeles Dodgers did that last night with a 2-1 win in 11 innings over the Philadelphia Phillies to win the National League Division Series 3-1 and move on to the National League Championship Series. Welcome to the Blue Review presented by LAX. I'm Marcus Grant with Greg Bergman, Parker Bell, and joined on a Friday by Matthew Moreno. Have our hearts recovered? Do we have a normal pulse this morning, Greg, after what happened yesterday?
Man, that was a crazy ending. I was in the studio here watching it with Travis after his show ended, and oh my God, it was intense. All I gotta say though is before we get into all the good stuff, I feel bad for Orion Kerkering, man.
Yeah.
That is just a brutal way to go. He found a way to make me feel bad for a Philly, and I think that takes a lot of effort on his part. So, but like, what a rough way to go. That's all you're gonna think about for the next 6 to 8 months. Like,
If it helps feeling bad about him, I'm pretty sure he's a SoCal kid. So at least there's some tie. We wish the best for you, but also sorry, buddy.
No, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Like I don't feel. I feel bad for him, the person, not the team.
Exactly.
But I gotta say, hey, Dodgers in 4. I got the first round right.
You had it right. You had it right.
First round right.
Yeah. He was, by the way, born in Huntington Beach, although he went to high school in Florida. So I don't know. I don't know when the move happened, but at least spent some time here in Southern California. Matthew, have you seen a more ridiculous ending to a playoff series than that?
Yeah, I mean, definitely nothing that comes to mind. And, sitting there watching it, several layers. I know we'll get into it, obviously, the Pages aspect, but, he breaks his bat. He kind of then fumbles the ball. And then you think, like, he still has time to go to first base. Like, okay, he's just going to recover. Like, maybe it's close. And then he just completely, not airmailed it, I guess, but kind of, fired a wide there to the plate. And, yeah, I mean, crazy. And, the stadium goes from, like, here's an out to, oh, my gosh, the Dodgers are in the NLCS and the stadium celebrating in a span of 2 seconds, it felt like.
I mean, absolutely wild. We will dive into all of that and more. And I'd say maybe look ahead, but we don't know who the Dodgers are going to play yet in the NLCS because the Cubs and Brewers still have one more to play. But first, want to give a shout out to the folks at Los Angeles International Airport. They are transforming the travel experience, saving guests time. You can go to flylax.com/transforminglax for more information. So, let's start at the beginning with the two starting pitchers who, Greg, were both just phenomenal last night. I mean, Glasnow ran into a little bit of trouble in the first inning. He gave up the double to Schwarber, got the Harper ground out, and then walked Alec Bohm, who, by the way, they walked Alec Bohm. They just could not pitch to Alec Bohm. It's like, I don't think they were pitching around him. They weren't pitching around him at all. They just couldn't throw him strikes. I don't really understand what that was all about. But Glasnow gets out of that. He was nails the rest of the day. And then Christopher Sanchez was he was damn near unhittable yesterday, Greg.
Yeah, that was an old-fashioned pitcher's duel, and it was so much fun to watch. You don't get very many of those in the postseason, and that was so much fun to watch. Both sides going head-to-head. And Alec Bohm, if you're not going to pitch around Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper and Trey Turner, you're definitely not pitching around Alec Bohm. But it just seemed like that was it might have been because if you pitch around Alec Bohm, you had Brandon Marsh behind you, and he just was mess the whole series. So maybe there was a little bit of pitching around Bohm. I don't know. But the pitching was so good. It was just so fun to watch. Glasnow really came out and showed what he has as a Dodger. There's been a whole narrative around the fact that he's not good in the postseason. Does like 2020 and before, that he has all this no playoff experience. That was a true Tyler Glasnow performance, and so happy that he pitched like that. He deserves all the respect now. I don't know what the whole cramping thing was. Cramping in the 5th, cramping in the 6th. It doesn't go out in the 7th. If that was the reason, fine that he didn't go out in the 7th. But also at the same time, like, sack up and let's go get out there for the 7th. Is how I kind of look at it. But
I mean,
either way.
it wouldn't be a Glass Now start without some
Right,
little bit
some
of weirdness.
controversy.
Some little weird thing happening along the way. But I mean, beyond that, he
Great
was lights out.
performance.
Great performance there. And I mean, Parker, I don't know if we can say enough about Roki Sasaki, right? I mean, the guy comes out of the bullpen. I mean, this has been his first October, his first opportunity to get high leverage spots as a closer, and has just been incredible. I mean, 9 up, 9 down for Roki Sasaki. I know his future, Parker's going to be in the rotation, but man, to go from a guy that we weren't even thinking about on this playoff roster a month ago to the guy who right now is kind of the glue holding that bullpen together, it's been an amazing journey in a short amount of time.
He's quite literally the toast to the Dodgers, Marcus. They were absolutely in there. And I mean, Matthew, you've been in those types of celebrations before. Miguel Rojas was in there saying, "Shot for Roki." That guy was absolute nails. And I mean, I was texting the group chat of just our Dodgers group chat, the show's group chat, saying, this kid is a young king. He's so locked in. The fact that he didn't even take his glove off, he was just sitting there shaking, ready to go. It's so fun watching the Dodgers do this over and over again, find prospects and turn them into what they are now. There's guys like Sheehan, who we're going to get to in a second, who had that, who allowed the Phillies to strike first, but guys like that who just end up being people you can trust in the postseason, still so young. But to stick on Roki, I mean, just got to give him so much credit for what he did. The stuff looked amazing. I mean, again, I can't say it any less. He's just nails, and I'm so excited to see what he can do moving forward, because he's going to be, of course, we've said it earlier on, he's going to be the reason the Dodgers go forward in this postseason, because the rest of the bullpen is bleep.
Well, it is, and obviously news that I'm sure you guys have seen at this point. No Tanner Scott. He was removed from the DS roster after having an emergency surgery earlier in the week. He was replaced with Justin Robleski. He's not going to be eligible for the NLCS roster either, although, I mean, depending on how the surgery was, I don't know that he would have been available anyway. So that changes within the bullpen for sure. But Matthew, I mean, you or Parker sort of touched on it with the Emmett Sheehan thing. Were you surprised, considering the way Glasnow was going, to see Sheehan come in the ball game when he did?
Yeah, a little bit. And, everybody, when that decision was made because of Dave Roberts' history, like everybody's going crazy and, the bullpen struggles, like you can't necessarily trust that group as a whole. So, social media reaction was not friendly at the time. And people are up in I think Glasnow threw 83 pitches, right? Mm-hmm. So it's looking curious. Like, why is it coming out? And we tried, setting out like, hey, like, hopefully there is some reason, like, let's wait to hear from Dave Roberts after the game. Like, and if it is just a matter of, I felt like that's all, as long as I wanted to push him, well, then, okay, we'll have context at that point and then critique it. And it turns out that it was cramping. And Greg, as you said, like, maybe still try to keep pitching, but also seems like he already had for a couple innings. So I don't know. I mean, it worked out. So fortunately, for us and for Dave Roberts and the Dodgers' sake, like, it's water under the bridge at this point. But yes, in the moment, like it is, it was surprising, just considering, 83 pitches. You would think he still has a little bit more in him. And then also, of course, the bullpen. If the bullpen had been what everybody expected it to be this season, then I don't think people are really batting an eye at that. It's like, okay, well, they have XYZ available. But because you have, two options that you can trust at this point, like it looks, any pitching decision is obviously magnified right now.
Yeah, I mean, I saw in the chat someone saying, and I think we all kind of felt like this, about how sick they felt when on TV they showed Blake Trinan warming up in the bullpen. I think we were all like, oh, please no, because it just didn't seem like anything good was going to come from that. So to get 3 innings out of Sasaki was incredible. I mean, what is it? That first inning was an 8-pitch inning, I believe it was, for him, something like that he blew through the Phillies. So he came back for a second, got through that quickly, and so it just made sense to bring him back for a third, and was absolutely lights out there. Obviously, though, a part of the other story, and it kind of gets washed away with the ending, Greg, was the fact that the offense the last 2 games just really was absent. And, credit some of that to the Phillies pitching. Ranger Suarez, I mean, Aaron Nola was able to get through 2 a couple nights ago, and then Suarez was good the rest of the way. Christopher Sanchez was just lights out. But a little bit disconcerting to see the offense kind of go south, and especially Shohei, who that was maybe one of the worst 4-day stretches I've seen for Shohei Ohtani since he's with the Dodgers, but maybe since he's been in the majors.
Yeah. So with the Ohtani thing, it's like he's gonna go. He goes through those kind of stretches. That's like every player goes through stretches. It's just so much more pronounced when it's Shohei Ohtani because of what he can do. Because he had 55 home runs and 100 plus RBIs and scored so many runs, and he's just absolutely an incredible ball player. That it gets more pronounced. It just sucks that it happened right then. I feel good about Shohei. I don't think anybody ever feels bad about Shohei going into the NLCS, but he typically is kind of like this guess hitter that just guesses right more often than not, because when he looks good, he's just the most amazing player you've ever seen. And when he looks bad, he looks like he's never swung a bat before. Like I was talking to Travis about it yesterday. He's swinging at pitches off the plate and he's looking at pitches that are on the plate. So he's just a little bit lost at the moment for whatever reason. He'll figure it all out. He'll get it right, but it's frustrating to watch it when you're like, oh, come on, Shohei, another strikeout looking. It gets rough, but full credit to the Phillies pitching staff because they just shoved in these last couple games, both sides. There wasn't a lot of runs scored really at all. I mean, if you take out Kershaw's blow up, there wasn't much that the Phillies did at all in that game. In the series.
Yeah, no, I mean they had that 3 runs off of Yamamoto where Schwarber hits one to the moon, and then kind of that Pages throwing error sort of opened the door for those other couple of runs to score. But other than that, it was not a lot for the Phillies offense, which I know for Philly fans is a thing they have complained about for the last couple of postseasons, that the offense just has not shown up, especially the guys at the top of the order. But back to Ohtani real quick. I mean, there are a couple of swings that look like what I described as hugging your cousin, where your rear end is sticking way out and you're leaning forward. I mean, that was just kind of, that was kind of the swing that we saw from Ohtani on some of those sliders and those sweepers that were just running away from him that he just could not reach. But Matthew, you mentioned Andy Pages. Obviously I won't say it was his hit was the big blow, because it was probably an exit velocity of about 30 miles an hour and traveled all of 40 feet. But he was another guy, Matthew, who just had a terrible series. I don't know if this is the thing to get him going, but it's got to feel good for him that at least he contributed in some way to this team getting a win in this series.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he had, I think, 2 or 3 key at bats yesterday in last night's game. So it's kind of not ironic, but the game finds you one way or another, if you're struggling like that. And I think the biggest thing to take away from it is at least, he put the ball in play. Like you at least sort of, you give yourself a chance. And look at, as innocent as that was, broken bat, you mentioned, 30-mile exit lot, like that might even be generous type thing. Like, I mean, it was basically a swinging bunt for all intents and purposes, but you put it in play, you force them to make a play, and sometimes like crazy stuff happens. And that's an example. And I would imagine that, it is a little bit of relief, that I think you could see it. The Dodgers celebrating, I think, obviously going to the NLCS, but they recognize that, it was Pages who's, can't call it a hit because it was rolled in air, but it was putting the ball in play. Apologies for being repetitive there, but you could see like teammates, I think, rallying around him because they could set he obviously has had a rough start to the playoffs.
Yeah, it's funny too, because when it happened, I think there was just genuine shock on both sides. Obviously, on the Philly side, there was shock that Kerkering decided to go home, missed home plate. Like Real Muto was not prepared for. He was pointing first base. He was not prepared for a throw. Had to scramble, even if it was a good throw. I think it's late. So I think there's obviously shock on the Philly side, but even the Dodgers, I think with Ha-Seong Kim, he came back and touched up home plate, and even his reaction was kind of like, he missed home plate the first time, came back, touched it, and his reaction was kind of like, what just happened? And you can just see sort of, on Freddie Freeman, on Dave Roberts' faces, like, did that just really happen? I think there was just complete shock with it. It was such a moment, I think, and even going back and watching it again was just a feeling of like, did this actually happen the way it did? So, in the end, it's a 3-1 series win for the Dodgers. They move on to the NLCS yet again, second straight year. Was it the 8th time in the last 13 years for the Dodgers being in the championship series? I know we can get to it a little bit, obviously early next week once we know for sure who they are playing. But Parker, I will ask you, any thoughts to who you would rather see in an NLCS between the Brewers and the Cubs?
Don't care. Doesn't matter, because you know why, guys? This Dodgers team has a whole nother gear. I think literally Will Smith was asked last night, like, hey, how are you guys feeling? And he laughed and goes, there's a whole nother gear. This team, I think, is 20-6 in the last 5 weeks. 20-6, which equates to what, like a 770 winning percentage. They're on fire, but the funny thing is they're not hitting on all cylinders yet. So I think that whoever you got, whether it's the Brewers, whether it's the Cubs, it doesn't even matter, because you just got through the toughest hurdle, which is the Phillies pitching. And the fact that they had runners on bases pretty much the whole series, they just didn't really capitalize because Phillies pitchers know how to get out of those situations, tells me whether it's the Brewers or the Cubs, it's probably going to be a beatdown. Belt to ass, as they say.
I think it's funny that you say that they're not hitting on all cylinders yet. When have they hit on all cylinders this entire year?
Correct.
There's been not one time where they were hitting on all cylinders, and now they have a bullpen that doesn't know how to pitch. Although better. It's got a little bit better, but yeah, it's. Can we talk about Teo real fast?
Absolutely.
Peter Acevedo in the chat says, and I don't want to go to too much of a negative side, but Teo swinging at balls when Mookie just walked has to be a question. We lose, and that is all we talk about. Agree? Like, yeah, that is going to be a major talking point if they ended up losing that game, because after who was it? It was Johan Duran.
It was Duran, yeah.
Yeah, Duran walked Mookie. He did not throw Teo one strike, and he was swinging away. That was one of the worst bats I've seen from Teo in quite some time. But that is pretty much what he looked like, just a couple of months ago, where he was just swinging and stuff all over the place. He was in full swing mode. That is absolutely all we would be talking about right now. Is they should have been up 2-1 at that point and not even gone to extras.
Oh no, that felt like, they had just tied it on the walk. That felt like Teo's like, I'm going to make this 5-1. I'm going to put this game to bed by myself.
Yep.
Instead of having hey, I just need to keep the line moving, right? I mean, that should have been the mentality. Let me pass the baton. I got Freddie Freeman behind me. I got a pitcher who's struggling right now to find the strike zone. Let's just keep the line moving a little bit, but instead, chase 2 fastballs out of the strike zone, watches one for a ball, and then, chases a slider, sweeper that really was a non-competitive pitch, but Teo helped out Duran and get out of the inning. So then we ended up having, 4 more innings of anxiety before his sort of resolution in that one. It definitely would have been a talking point if things hadn't turned around in this one.
But we won, so I'm happy, and all of it is forgiven because he was good. He was good in the outfield too. He made some big catches last.
Yeah.
Time.
Yes.
I mean, I think that's the other thing is that he played some good defense. We got hustle plays out of Teo. Even to the point of maybe he was too aggressive in one of the games, which is not a thing I thought I would say about Teoscar Hernandez.
But Greg, quickly on that point, just in general, one of the most clutch walks of Dodgers history. Shout out to Mookie shout out to him for his discipline, and just all series. Got to give Mookie credit, because I get that the bats haven't
Mookie was great
on all cylinders, but Mookie, like we said before the playoffs, Marcus was going to be that guy, and he has been.
Another small thing that I think gets overlooked, and Matthew, I want to ask you about this. Alex Call, who had some really good at-bats he started those 2 games that Sanchez started just because he has some history of success. He just kept finding his way on. Got a couple of hits, couple of walks, hit by a pitch. Quiet as it's kept, it does feel like Alex Call was a little bit of a catalyst in this offense, which is a thing that, I don't think anybody thought they would say about him.
Yeah, not at all. Maybe the Dodgers should have built their entire lineup out of Alex Call for the Christopher Sanchez starts. I don't look, sometimes we've seen it with other even, Clayton Kershaw will struggle against I don't want to be disrespectful or disparaging, but some random MLB hitter just because for whatever reason that guy happens to see him well. And that's what was happening with Alex Call and Christopher Sanchez. It's not an entirely huge sample size, which is also sort of interesting. But I mean, there was, I forgot what the numbers were for the regular season heading into the series. And
3 for 10, 2 strike, 2 home runs.
There we go. Yeah, there we go. And then, in both games, Call just sort of kept getting on base. Whether, he took one to the ankle, which frankly, I was surprised that he still stayed in the game after that, because that hit him flush on the inside of his right foot. That didn't look too good. But yeah, I mean, give Alex Call a ton of credit. He wasn't quite the impact. I mean, he regressed, frankly, and struggled after joining the Dodgers compared to what he'd been doing with the Nationals before the trade. And so to, have those at bats and keep finding ways to get on base, at the very least, you're creating some stress for the opposing pitcher and your opponent. But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see maybe if he parlays this into more playing time in the NLCS or, different situational at bats or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. Again, the line, it's not going to blow anybody away. 2 for 2 with a pair of walks. But it does feel like they came in moments where the Dodgers desperately needed something. Even if he doesn't score a run, just get on base, just agitate the defense a little bit, just make something happen. And, baseball's a weird game that you sometimes get contributions from places you don't expect. I mean, obviously it's not that level, but nobody thought that Tommy Edman would do what he did in the NLCS last year. So it is just a weird game. The way
all I heard was that was a 1,000 on base percentage.
That's all it is.
1,000 batting average. That's all I heard.
A 2,000 OPS. That's all.
Yeah,
that's all.
No. Great.
That's all we're worried about.
That's all I'm hearing. I don't care about sample size.
Yeah, that's all it is right now. So all right, obviously we wait until Monday, which Greg, I think is good news. What's that?
Who do you think starts on Monday? Is it Shohei or is it Snell?
I think it's Snell. I think it's Snell because you have the time to get him turned around a little bit. I also don't think you want him having that many days off necessarily. I think you're okay with Shohei taking a few extra days between starts. I think Snell you'd like to keep on something of a regular schedule. So I would guess it's Snell, then Ohtani, and then probably Yama in game 3 is what I'm guessing.
So if you do that, Matt, help me out with this. So like if that's what if you have Yama in game 3, that means you only get him once in the series. For the most part, do you want Ohtani once? Do you want Snell? This is the big part of this pitching staff. Yamamoto, Snell, and Ohtani probably don't pitch twice, all of them.
Yeah, I'd have to do the math on. Do you know for certain if he did start that game through? So I know it's Monday. They play Monday.
They play Monday. Yeah.
So then if
there's not a lot of off days.
Yeah, if Yamamoto's game 3, then that's Thursday. Yeah, I mean, I guess you're looking at one start for him just because of how they also handle his rest days and things like that. It will be interesting to see. I do agree with Marcus. I think Snell, although Dave Roberts said last night, like it's looking likely that Ohtani is game 1, but he said we haven't made any decisions yet. I think Snell gets game 1. I do feel like Ohtani gets game 2 from the standpoint of that's how they've been setting up his pitching so that he gets the travel day, the off day, if you will, right after it. And as we just discussed, his offensive production, he needs sort of, I don't want to say all the help he can get, but if he could get a little extra rest after pitching, it'll be beneficial. But yeah, I mean, Greg, to your point, like they might prefer getting 2 starts out of Yamamoto as opposed to 2 out of Ohtani for XYZ reasons. So maybe they end up switching it.
The one thing that we can say for sure is that neither the Brewers nor the Cubs saw either Snell or Ohtani this year. Shohei hadn't started pitching. Snell was on the injured list. So it would be the first time for both of those teams seeing either one of those arms. So we'll see how that goes. Obviously, some big decisions for Dave Roberts to make, but he's got a few days to make them. Hopefully they spend today at least sort of, relaxing, coming down, and then getting back to work over the weekend before whatever starts on Monday. We will find out on Saturday whether the Dodgers will start at home or whether they will start in Milwaukee for the National League Championship Series. So we all await that. But in the meantime, let's just enjoy this one, folks, after what was a wild NLDS against the Philadelphia Phillies that the Dodgers finally prevailed in. Anyway, that will do it for this edition of the Blue Review. Thanks to Matthew Moreno for hanging out. Thanks to everybody in the chat for jumping in as well. Certainly appreciate you. Stick around. Sedano and Cap Morning Extravaganza coming up here on the ESPN LA YouTube channel. For Parker Bell, for Greg Bergman, I am Marcus Grant. Thanks to LAX, as always, for helping us with the Blue Review presented by LAX. Back with you on Monday morning, 6:30 to 6:55 a.m. We will see you then. Enjoy the weekend, everybody. Talk to you soon.
Let's go
See ya.
Dodgers.